Welcome back to 535. I'm Leanne Caldwell with Puck News, and right now I'm joined with Congressman Garamendi of California. We are going to talk about shipbuilding, trying to bring more ship manufacturing back to the United States. Congressman, thanks so much for being here.
Delighted, and really delighted to talk about the American shipping industry.
So how did you get involved with this issue?
Well, several reasons. First of all, I represent the San Francisco Bay Area, which at one time was one of the major shipbuilding and ship repair places in the world. You go back to World War II, Rosie the Riveter, all the Liberty ships just being pumped out, 1,000 of them. All of that's gone. We had the very first naval base on the West Coast, Mare Island, shut down in 1993. 18,000 jobs gone within 2 weeks. And so this issue has been resonating in that area, and also I'm on the Armed Services Committee. So national defense became a part of this discussion about the demise of the American shipping industry.
Yeah.
So here we are.
So what your legislation does with Senator Mark Kelly over in the Senate, it's about commercial shipping.
Exactly.
So talk to me first before we get deep into it. How does commercial shipping and helping that industry, how is that a national security issue?
Well, let's look at the history. The history of World War II, the fight in the Pacific, we certainly about battleships and aircraft carriers. They were totally dependent upon the resupply of supply ships. Many of those were commercials, but many of those were built, as I mentioned, the Rosie the Riveter building the fleets. Those were all the supply ships. They call it the tyranny of distance. Right now, there have been many studies done about the ability of the American military to sustain a fight in Europe and in the Pacific. Cannot be done because we do not have the ability to resupply.
Oh, wow.
And therefore, what are we going to do? We're going to hire Chinese ships. China builds 1,000 ships, we build one. We don't have the capacity to resupply our military if there is a conflict.
Who builds our ships now?
Well, we only build ships for what is known as the Jones Act. That's the domestic fleet. This is a law that requires if you're going from San Francisco to Galveston, then that has to be an American ship. If you're going from Galveston up the Mississippi, again, American ship. That's the only commercial ships that are built in America today is for that very special domestic use. We don't build ships for what's known as the blue water to go across the Pacific or the Atlantic. We do not have the ability.
Wow.
Given our American fleet, which is basically non-existent,
Yeah.
to resupply our military, it is a fundamental national security issue. Therefore, Mark Kelly and I, together with Senator Young and Trent Kelly here in the Congress, took this issue up and said, we need to do something about it. So we developed the SHIPS Act. Now, I've been at this for 15 years here in Congress, and finally, we're about to put forward a major piece of legislation to address this fundamental economic issue and national security issue.
I have seen Senator Young wear a red hat around the Senate that says, make shipbuilding great again. I think that he gave one to the president. So why does the U.S. no longer have this capability? Is it because Congress hasn't funded it? Has it been because it's not a Pentagon priority? It's not an American manufacturing priority? What
All of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. It's also, I suppose, encapsulated in this thing called outsourcing.
Uh-huh.
Somebody was able to do it cheaper. Well, let's see, Korea, Japan, China were able to build ships cheaper than the United States, and therefore, well, we're just going to build our tanker fleet, our roll-on, roll-off fleet. We'll let China do it, or we'll buy those ships from Korea. We still do that. The American shipbuilding industry simply disappeared because it was outsourced. Now, we have a conflict with China. Mr. Xi, can you send us a fleet of ships so that we can fight you in the Pacific? Not going to happen.
Right.
National security issue, also an economic issue. The demise of this shipbuilding is, we were talking about thousands upon tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs, and it's the supply chain, it's the steel, it's the engines, it's all of those pieces of the puzzle, including the mariners on the ships. So the SHIPS Act covers everything, all of the pieces of the puzzle. The rebuilding of the facilities that are necessary to build the ports, the funding mechanisms to subsidize the development of these ships, the guarantee of cargo. They say cargo is king. Yes, it is. But we all in this legislation, each piece of that puzzle that would give us a full picture of how we can rebuild the American maritime industry is in the SHIPS Act. And it's downright exciting. The president wants it. We have bipartisan, bicameral. We're on the road here.
When you say cargo is king...
Excuse me, we're on the water here.
We're on the water. When you say cargo is king, what does that mean? How does legislation ensure cargo?
Multiple pieces of this. First of all, military cargo on American ships.
Okay.
Secondly, American foreign aid on American ships.
Because currently it's not?
No.
Okay.
Some of it, yes, but there's a constant effort to hire foreign ships for the purposes. Military does it all the time.
Wow.
We've written into the National Defense Authorization, no, you cannot do that. You're going to use American ships. So the multiple ways that we can assure that domestically derived cargo is on American ships, both coming and going. Well, that's a piece of the puzzle. But also we need to recognize, wait a minute, how is China able to build ships so cheaply? Turns out they're not building them less expensive than American, but what they have is enormous subsidies. China, Korea, Japan subsidize to a fairly well the construction of those ships. Can we do that? The law's been in place for 70 years to provide assistance for American shipbuilding. We haven't used it for the last 50 years, but part of what we have in this program is a program to provide good facilities. We're going to upgrade the facilities. We have a funding mechanism, a fee on every container that's coming from China. We're going to use that to build American ships.
Is there any government dollars that are going to be needed for this?
Government funding is in the legislation, but we derive that money from the commerce in and out, mostly the commerce that's coming into the United States. There's a fee on every container. There are other fees that exist today. Those fees would be used specifically for the purposes of rebuilding the American shipbuilding and shipping industry.
So why now? Why, you said you've been working on this for 15 years, so why is it fine? Why do you feel so optimistic at this moment?
Well, because it takes a while. It takes a while to understand the complexity, the economic complexities, the subsidies that China, they hide their subsidies, as did Japan and Korea. We know those subsidies are there. We know what the competition is, and it takes a while to assemble the necessary support. This legislation has support from every conceivable part of the maritime industry. The steel companies, the manufacturers of domestic steel, the engines, all of the other parts and pieces that go into a ship. That total supply chain is now on board. It takes time to assemble that. It takes time for people to understand, well, why are we in trouble? Well, part of it is that we've let our, frankly, our ports rot. The piers are falling down. We need to build that back up. And we need to, and this is something that we started actually, I guess when I first arrived here in 2009 and 10, we started with what we called the Make It in America agenda. Steny Hoyle and I, we said, well, let's make it in America. We had our own hat, it wasn't red. And then Trump came along in 2016, 17, and he said, we're going to make it in America. Go out of the way, President, do it. And so he picked it up. And so now at that presidential level, it put more emphasis and more power behind it, and Trump has continued. And in this particular situation, serendipity, My colleague on the Readiness Subcommittee of the Armed Services Committee, I was the chair, he was the ranking member, Michael Walsh. He became chair, I became ranking member, and he took up this issue, as did I, about the American shipbuilding. He then went over to the White House, sitting next to the president, saying, hey, we can build ships, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, we can build ships. And the president bought into it. And so now we have the president talking about his maritime strategy. It fits almost identical to the legislation that Michael, I, and my two other colleagues have put together. So why do the stars align? Well, it has aligned. And so we've got a real opportunity. Right now we're looking at the National Defense Authorization
Okay,
Act.
I was going to ask how. Yeah.
It's up in the House, on the floor next week, or maybe after the 4th of July. And we've opened the door in the National Defense Authorization Act for a critical national security piece that has not been considered previously in our national defense programs, and that is the commercial shipping industry that is absolutely essential for the success of our military. So we may be successful in putting that into the National Defense Authorization in its fullness.
What are the roadblocks? Why wouldn't someone support this?
Well, isn't it? Well, what do you mean you don't support this? We've come to the point where people are lining up. The entire maritime industry, from the manufacturers of radar to the other, the training programs, they're all looking at this and say, yeah, this is in the legislation, the training programs at our maritime academies, the unions that have provided the men and women, the training programs, the apprenticeship programs, all of this is lining up together with a better understanding that it is a long way from Long Beach to Guam. It's a 10-day trip. So how do you get the material there? How do you get the munitions there? How do we resupply? And suddenly, studies that were done a decade ago are now being read by the military and by members of Congress. And they're saying, yeah, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to phone China and ask for a bunch of ships. We're going to have our own ships.
If this legislation passes this year, how long will it take to rebuild this industry?
This industry didn't die in a year. This industry died a slow death over 3 decades. Will it take 3 decades to rebuild it? I don't think so. I do know that one piece of this legislation that I worked on a decade ago, we were exporting oil and natural gas. And America is the biggest exporter in the world of oil and natural gas. And we go, none of it's on American ships. Why not? So Senator Wicker, who is now the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, he and I introduced a legislation that would require that a 10% of that oil and natural gas be on American-built ships. That's 40 to 50 ships in the next decade. And Senator Wicker, what happened over this 10 years? He became chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. And so here we go. How did this come about? Well, it's something we worked on a decade ago, introduced the legislation, and here we have the opportunity in this legislation to require that a certain percentage of that export of oil and natural gas be on American-built ships. So we spread the wealth. We spread the opportunity. The petroleum industry, they're kind of picky about this. They don't want to do it. And I go, come on, guys. You're making enough money. You can, this is like, I don't know, 10 cents a barrel. Come on. And it's about being able to sustain our military, to rebuild our manufacturing base, steel, all of the pieces and parts, all of those are going to be part of this new industrialization of the American shipbuilding industry.
Interesting. Let me ask you about readiness, about military readiness. There's obviously a war that is in a ceasefire apparently in Iran, but there's been lots of concerns about ammunition and that low ammunition supply for the U.S. What is your understanding of how dire or not the situation is?
Almost all of that is classified. It shouldn't be, but the military has classified it because they don't want the public to know the real situation. However, let's look at what's going on.
Yeah.
2 days ago, the president says to the defense industry,
Yeah.
you come on down to my office, and he invited in the military leaders, and we're going to talk about rebuilding our arsenals, rebuilding our magazines. Now, is this a real problem? Well, let's just say, yeah, it's a real problem. How do I know? Because I know all the big defense contractors, the people that make the missiles, that make the munitions, they were in the president's office together with the leadership of the Pentagon. Why were they there? Because there is a problem. Is it serious enough for the president to invite those folks in, to sit down and say, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
It's serious. Now, why is it classified? Because they want to hide the reality. It's a problem.
Is there a time frame of how many months or years worth of ammunition and arsenal that the U.S. has?
There are some that say that the Iran war, all of the missiles flying back and forth, was called off because somebody at the Pentagon was subtracting.
Wow.
And they go, uh-oh, time out. We don't want to run to zero.
Huh.
So, is that true or not? Whether it's true or not, we have a problem.
Yeah.
The extent of it is serious enough that the president took the time with the leaders of the military and the defense industry to sit down and say, we got to solve it.
Have you seen that classified information?
I've seen, yes. The answer is yes. And no, I'm not going to share it with you. But the reality is it's a serious problem. Now, we have the responsibility in this extraordinary increase in the defense budget, from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. That's $1.5 trillion, $500 billion increase. Where's that money going to be spent? Is it going to be spent on rebuilding our munitions, rebuilding the capacity to produce these systems, or not? And I must say that the information that we're getting from the White House, from the Pentagon, is just give us the money and we'll do good things with it.
They're not giving you detailed information.
I think Reagan had it right. Trust and verify. Do I trust that it'll be spent well? No. Are they willing to verify that it'll be spent well? They must. Otherwise, they shouldn't have the money. We know there's a problem. We know it has to be addressed. We have to know how much money is necessary, what is the production schedule, how long will it take. None of that has been provided to those of us that are on the Armed Services Committee or on the Appropriations Committee.
What do you think about the supplemental that the administration notified Congress about?
We've been asking, we've got this war going on, Epic Fury and its predecessor, how many munitions were used, what is necessary, what's happened with the bases. Now the Readiness Subcommittee is responsible for the bases. To this day, they have refused to give the committee, the subcommittee, of which I'm the ranking member, the information about what happened to our bases in the Middle East. You know, we have some indication it's not good. It's going to be very expensive to rebuild, and are we going to rebuild the old way or a new way? The military has not come to the Congress with the necessary information that we must have to answer those questions. But we do know that every one of our bases in the Gulf and beyond were hit by Iranian missiles, and the damage is thought to be significant.
Congressman Garamendi, we are almost out of time. On a lighter note, you have agreed to 5:35 1 minutes. And so I'm going just to ask you a fun question.
I rise with the intention of disrupting the normal business.
I ask unanimous consent. I ask unanimous consent.
The senator from Nebraska is recognized.
The gentlelady is recognized.
The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
What are you going to do in your August recess?
Well, I'm going to get a new knee.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, when I was playing football at the University of California at Berkeley, with some success, the orthopedist said, you're going to have a problem in about 20 years. Well, that was much more than 20 years.
Yeah, wow. So it lasted
It was like 60 years ago.
Wow.
So, but it's now. I'm going to do that, but basically Patty and I are going to enjoy our family and our grandchildren as will recover from the knee operation. And like you, our grandchildren are young, and they're just a joy.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. And I had the pleasure of meeting your kids since it's my time.
Yes.
They're really cool. They're sitting right over there.
Thank you. They are
And-
right off camera.
And it's really, really important to bring your kids to your work.
Yeah.
And we've been able to do that. Patty produced a little book, and the title is "You Always Took Us With You,"
Oh.
and you're doing that.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a good mama.
Oh, well, thank you. Congressman Garamendi, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And I have, as Congressman Garamendi just said, my own personal point of privilege. My children are here today because we were lucky enough to get a tour of the Capitol Dome, which we just finished. I think that we have a
Are they
a
sitting
picture.
over there?
They are.
If they
can
came
come
over to their mama's lap, they'd be on TV right now.
You would.
Come on.
You want
Come
to
on.
come over? Come on, come on. So look at the camera. This is Ellison, and this is Penrose, and we just got a tour of the Capitol Dome.
Cool. Cool. Thank
Thanks
you.
for watching 535. We'll be right back.
Always take them with you.